Richard, it's so good to be together with you. And
Yes.
when I say together, you know, in the virtual environment, I feel like we are sitting together in the same room,
Yeah.
even though we have, I think, around 1,500 kilometers between us. But that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, um, I remember when I was 28 years old and I was working for this wonderful company. You may know them. It's called Lego, the toy company.
Lego. Lego.
Right?
Yes.
Everybody knows Lego. I have been in love with them forever. And I was working in Austria in sales and marketing. And I was asked to run a presentation in Billund, in their headquarters
In Denmark. Right.
in Denmark, right? And when I entered this beautiful auditorium, was already shocking for this. I felt like a little girl. No, not like a little girl. I felt like a little mouse. My self-esteem was so low. And when it was my turn to speak, right? And of course, as you can hear, and as you know, Richard, English is not my first language. Actually, it's my third language. I speak better German than English. But so those times my English was, yeah, not too good. And whatever I knew got forgotten by me, right? I entered the stage to run that presentation and I felt my body was shaking. I lost the words. I didn't know where to look, what to think about. And I could not think about any word that I plan to share with the audience. So you are an expert in how to talk, how to run presentations, how to express thoughts in an audience where there are English speakers, I mean natives and non-natives. So what is your advice?
Yeah. So thank you so much for your story. And I really can picture you in this big room in Denmark, very nice and modern. And as you say, you came in like a little mouse, and there are all these cats waiting for you, waiting.
Tigers, tigers,
Tigers even, right? Tigers.
hungry tigers.
So this is the feeling you get. That's right. So, well, I'll try and give a short answer that brings in different things. I mean, what's happening here often, and this is what you described. You said the word your brain froze up. You know, you were free. You couldn't. You were stuck in a way. And this is what happens in these high stress moments. It's the danger that we feel. It's like a hijack. It's like we're hijacked. You know, our brain can't think and it's actually really stops. We can't think at all. You know, we're just there with this sensation, and actually, what our brain would like to do is run away, or get out of the danger, or just go somewhere else. But we can't as well because that's not what the plan is. So we stay with this kind of frozen brain. And what happens then, I think, and it sounds like what you did, is that in that space, this kind of a space, all these thoughts come in, some other thoughts come in. I'm no good. They're going to laugh at me. Some judgment. What am I going to say? I have nothing to say. My speech is useless. They think I'm no good. Blah blah blah. You know, in this frozen state, all these negative thoughts start to come in, and then you remember even maybe past times when it was horrible, and you got judged and everything. So the one thing to try and do is to think, okay, how can I get my brain moving again? How can I unfreeze my brain? And that's not so easy. I wish I had like a magic wand. But one thing you can think about, I think, as well, is you can use your body to do that. And something to do with this is, use your hands maybe, and break something with your body. Change your position. Walk, touch something, pick something up, move over to a different space, go to the window, do something that where your body thinks, that signals to your body it's actually okay. You're here, you're not anywhere else, you have a job to do, you can do this job, and your body, you can start to get those beliefs coming back. And it's quite often, I see this also in conversations with clients, that people get stuck in a certain mode. And then I always want to say, we're talking like this, I'm getting stuck, I'm getting stuck, I'm getting stuck. I always want to say, even on screens, you can say, Ah, right. Okay. And imagine if you're talking to someone, you get stuck, and then you go, okay, right, uh-huh. People notice that you're taking a break, but they're also very interested in what's going to happen. So it's always okay. We always have more power than we think. We can always
Mm,
just come back, break something, break the space, break the stuckness, this nice English word that I just invented.
mm.
And use the body to do that. If your brain is stuck, what else can you do? We have brain, body, basically, mind, body. So if the brain is stuck, the mind is stuck, use the body to help your mind. That's one big piece of advice that I can try and give. I mean,
I, I love I love what you just said. We always have more power than we think. And that reminds me of the fact that self-talk is so important. And knowing how we function was last March. Yeah, a year ago, I was invited to a negotiation workshop in March. And it was a big event with two trainers, but one trainer could not come. And it just turned out the day before that the other trainer couldn't come. So I was asked if I am willing to run this negotiation workshop of two groups in one big group. And they said, you get the big ballroom, huge technical support, microphone, whatever. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Let me think. Of course, I said yes, because I love to leave my comfort zone. And then I asked myself, what will help me? And actually, you inspired me to share this story, Richard. So I was thinking of a song that brought back amazing memories with my son. And I knew that the managing director was a cool guy who loved dancing. So I said, at the beginning, yeah, there was 70, 80 people. And I said, yeah, let's put on this music and let's get up a bit. So I switched on this music that switched on the button in my body. I love my life.
okay.
Right? And then
Right.
the GM said, everybody gets up, let's dance. It was 8:30 in the morning. And the spirit of the room was so cool. I felt like I am in magic.
Yeah,
So thanks for reminding me of that. Always
beautiful.
having more power than we think. The question is, what is the switch? How
That's
do I
right.
switch it
That's
on?
right. That's right. And I work a lot with these switches as well. And when I work with my clients to build confidence, break through these language confidence barriers. Absolutely. There are switches. It's beautiful to talk about it like that, I think. Well,
Can you have everyone that comes to you about having complexes?
of course, Christina, of course, I can help
What
everyone.
a question.
Well, let's say this. I haven't yet really met someone where it's been impossible. Some people, it takes time. There are more barriers, maybe they go slower. Others, they just need sometimes just a couple of these little clicks of your finger and they go, and you think, wow. And then you think, wow, if only they had had this, maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago,
That's it.
6 months ago, whatever. But yeah, so some people and you're looking for just the little button actually as well that frees them and sets them going. And then almost sometimes then I don't have so much to do. But of course, you have to find that button. That's the thing.
That's the
So
big
that's what I'm
question.
listening for a lot with my clients is I'm listening to where that button is and where it's hiding. That's one way to describe the work that I'm doing. It's
Yes.
and I have tools and we try different things, all these things to try and find out, like we're like to help us to explore. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you mentioned the word magic one. So you just brought me into the storytelling mood. So when I
Brilliant,
run
Christina.
trainings, because yeah, I'm a trainer as well. So when I run trainings, it's very important how to open them. And I guess you also talk about with your clients um, about how to open, right? A meeting, a big presentation. So I have this look. You said magic wand. I have a magic wand
Ah,
here.
right. Wow, beautiful. So great.
So sometimes I take it when nobody wants to speak and I say, oh, John, I can see you have a great idea. So
Very
we
good.
all have the magic wands that help us.
Oh, I want one. I want one. I
You
need
want
one.
one? I also had a pink one, but Yeah, it disappeared. So I have the beautiful green color one.
Very creative.
Look at all the stars.
Very cool. So what was your idea with the magic wand then?
So yeah, I'm using it. I'm using the magic wand. So it's about tools, right? That I'm sure when you work with your clients about how to communicate externally, yeah, you have tools that you suggest based on the needs of the individual, of the person. And
yeah.
I also use tools, of course, in my
Yes, magic wand.
coaching work.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's maybe you can talk about that a bit because what we were looking for in our collaboration really is I'm more about the expression and you're more about the sort of inner alignment that allows that expression to really go to fly. So I was just wondering, does the magic wand also work with these sort of inner obstacles that you have sometimes your clients have? Does that help? Does it
There is,
help?
I would say the same, there is no magic wand in the inner work.
Right,
It's work. But sometimes it goes much quicker than people would assume.
right.
And you mentioned the word alignment. Let me stop there a bit. What
Yeah,
do I mean by alignment? So we have to be aligned with ourselves. Who am I? How do I want to come across? As a showman, as an expert, as a specialist, as a great team member, as somebody who has two good ideas. What's my role in the given meeting or presentation? And we also have to be aligned with the department we work for, with the business unit, with the company. Every company
yeah.
has or should have a company culture. So first of all, the question is alignment, finding who am I? What is the impression I want to make? It's inner work, right? Because it's not that easy to answer the question, what is my purpose here
Yeah,
in this upcoming meeting? Because sometimes people realize, actually, I just want to have two cool statements that I want to bring across, right?
right.
And so the inner work, for example, there is a great tool that I like to use to find out how confident people are.
Okay,
That
okay.
confidence is the base for so many things, right? So I say, okay, take out an empty sheet of paper, or people can type it as well. Yeah, depending on the
Or
on
they do it on their phone, right? Phones these
the
days.
phone, whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
And write down the title, positive characteristics that will support me in that upcoming performance. When I run negotiation trainings, I talk a lot of times about the importance of silence.
Right.
What are your thoughts about silence when it comes to an international meeting where non-native English speakers have to perform?
Very good question. Very good question. So, this is one of the most underestimated aspects of talking in public. The role of silence, the way you can use it. It is incredible, really, when you think about it. And the more you think about it, the more it becomes obvious that that should be the case. The more there's a contrast, the more things are important, right? If the high when you have high contrast, then something is important. So if you have strong silence, then when a word comes, when a meaning comes out of that silence, it's more important than if you just have words all the time, all the time, all the time. Then you get this effect of a river, which is nice to listen to, but you don't need to pay attention to it, right? So that's one aspect of it, just the simple rhythm, the way you can use it to break up the rhythm. The other aspect's more, what was I going to say? So the other aspect is more the way to underline things. So yeah, first of all, you can use silence that way. You come to say something and you come to the end of what you're going to say, and then you say something really important. And there you insert some silence. And then it gives everyone, it says two things. One is, this is important. The thing I've just said, the final thing I've said is important. And number two, it says, have a bit of time, take some time now to think about what I just said and integrate it or think about it or reflect it or remember it. So it does two functions. This is important, and you are now allowed or invited to think
Hmm.
about it. So you can see that's already something that's really powerful, right? Now, the other thing about silence, I talk about silence for a long time. The third thing, perhaps you can think of this, is that it's useful for someone who's nervous or someone who's not sure what to say or doesn't quite know.
Hmm.
Very often, these people go into a trap and will be think they have to keep talking, think they have to keep talking. And in fact, no, they don't have to keep talking. They can come to, they need to build towards a space and then just leave that space, let people think, and take time themselves to think about what they next want to say. Because actually, people are interested. When you take time, I'm taking time now to think about what to do or what to say. And then I can break my gaze as well. And I can do the different things. There are different things I can do to invite people to think with me. You don't always have to get people to think what you say. You can get them to think with you. Okay, this is the ideal case, but even just if you're very nervous, the idea that you can say something strong and then leave, count to three, and don't say anything, move around the room maybe, and then you have time to think about the next thing. Just that can give you time to think about what you want to say, so that helps. And also, it can give you a feeling of more authority. I am strong enough to not talk.
I
So
love that.
it just
It's
opens so many
strong
things.
enough
Balance.
to
Yeah.
not talk. Yes.
Mm.
So it also gives the possibility to digest the
Yes.
information
Yes.
that
It
was
in
just shared.
it invites that. It invites that. It's an invitation. Silence is an invitation for me. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
It's like, now I have been talking. Here's some silence. Do something with it.
I remember when my daughter switched schools, she started a new school class, and then I asked her a few weeks later, so how do you feel? Which teacher do you prefer the most? Do you like the most? And then she named the name, and I said, why? And she said, because she's so good in silence. And I was very surprised. She said, I can digest, I can follow her. So even for teenagers, even for kids who have a much higher pace, right, than us, even for them it's important. And they prefer to listen to someone who is good with silence.
Great. Yeah, and that's an amazing story because, obviously we think of teenagers as always just zapping around with their thumbs but actually, yeah, if it's done well, someone who speaks, leaves gaps, does something else
Yes.
about the
And
next thing.
and if you think about great guest speakers, presenters, if you think about TED Talks, no, not in TED Talks because they don't use notes, but sometimes when people look into their notes,
Yeah.
when they are running an important presentation, does it bother you? I've never heard about anyone complaining, yeah, I was in a great presentation, but I didn't like that the person looked into his notes, right?
No,
So that's absolutely okay. Okay, so what did I want to say, right?
that's right.
So
That's
Frank
right.
Sinatra once in his concert forgot an important line in his famous song. Like if Frank Sinatra is allowed to forget what he wanted to sing, right? Why can't we forget and say, oh, what did I want to say?
That's
Silence.
right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We can just think. And then everyone remembers suddenly we're all just human beings milling around on this planet, trying stuff, doing things. That's all we are, that's it. There are ideas, we have projects, we have these things,
Yeah.
but in the end, we're just human
It's a
beings.
playfield, right?
It's a
It's
it's
a
a what?
playfield. It's a
Yeah,
playfield,
that's
right?
right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. It's a We're all, you
Richard,
know,
you as an expert, how would you see the connection between intonation and silence?
yeah. So, you know, intonation is key. I mean, it's really, for me, it's like one of the main things that I try and get people to feel as second language English speakers. Um, for me, it's the way I talk about it first. First, I'll talk about intonation. That the languages have different ways of getting emotions across, feelings, emotions. But most of all, always there is some pattern. There are some patterns, some intonation patterns that every language uses, and every language does it in a bit of a different way. Sometimes similar ways. For example, questions going up. That's quite common in very many languages, right? So we're using an intonation that rises because we want to ask a question. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah, we ask a question. So there are some patterns that are the same, but at the same time, languages use this differently. And sometimes it seems to me that in English, the heart of the language, the heart of how emotions are expressed in English is on the accents and the intonation and the melody. And it seems as well sometimes to me that in English you can go really deeply and really heavily lean on certain syllables, certain words. If you really want to make your point come across, you can really do that. I'm exaggerating now to show what I mean, but it all everything I've said is perfectly fine in English. Now, if you do this amount of leaning on syllables, say in French, it sounds a bit like not right. It sounds too much, right? But because French works in a different way, it uses intonation in a different way. So, but think about this: if you speak English and you don't get into this intonation not very well, then you're missing the heart of the language. You're missing the emotion of the language, the way English does emotion. How does English do emotion? For me, it does it by stressing certain syllables in a sentence, and it can stress them heavily. And that's part of the, you know, how English functions, how it gets on fire, if you like. So if you miss that, all we have are your words. So we have to listen to all your words and what your meaning is. And we can do that, and maybe that's fine. But then it's a bit easier just to read, right? When someone's speaking, we want to hear the flow, we want to hear the rhythm, because that's going to help us remember what's important and what's not important. So then the link to silence is you can come and build and build and build, and you come to a final point, right? That you want to make. This is my final point. And then the intonation comes down. This gives you authority. And there you can build silence. This is my final point.
So what
And then
I'm hearing, yeah, sorry. So what I'm hearing is intonation contributes to emotions, and emotions help create memories.
yes, yes, yes. They help remember us to know what's important, what's not so important, what we need to hold on to, what we need to remember. Yes.
And if a speaker wants to highlight everything, if everything is important, nothing is important, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's
Of course.
extremely important to know what is the core message. What's the 10% I want that my audience remembers?
That's right. That's right. And that's a good idea to have an idea of that before you start. And this is something, you know, that you can work on, which is more to do with your inner world. What is the actual thing I want to you know, that me personally I want to get across. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the preparation in the inner work, right? In the coaching. So what do I want to highlight and why? What do I want to achieve? Do
That's
I just
right.
want to share ideas? Do I want to involve people? Do I want to bring a point across? Do I want to achieve an agreement that everybody is okay with or motivated about?
That's right. That's right. And that of course is not always easy because, you know, maybe you're speaking for a company and you have your role, and you know we talked about alignment. You know, there's all these constraints on what the message that you have to get across sometimes. But I always think it's important to have something personal. Like you have this message, I need to get this message across. This is our company, this is our project. But my little touch, what is my little contribution? You know, and if you try and find that, you know, and try and put it in somewhere. And it happens naturally as well. You don't always have to think up too much about it, but make sure you have something that where you feel, yeah, and that's my angle. That's my way of looking at this. And because that's being generous, and that's going to help. And that's going to be, you're being generous to yourself as well when you do that.
And you say the personal touch. I love talking about storytelling, right?
Yes.
How does that work in presentations, meetings, negotiations? Yeah. Also in the non-native speaking environment, it's very important. And there are rules, right? How long should be a story? Yeah. So I believe in 60 to 90 seconds. You need details, because without details, it's a boring nothing. With too many details, people can get lost in the story. They don't know what the main choreography is about. So that's another science, so storytelling. But still, it's important for non-native speakers, because I know, because I'm one of them, how do I have the confidence to share a personal story that would highlight the point that I want to make? But if my English is not too good, should I still share it? And as you said, we are all just human beings, so why not?
That's
In the
right.
worst case, people will not be touched, or not, they will not laugh about, okay, so what? 90 seconds are lost. We lose much more time in life than that. But why not to try? Maybe you realize that you're a great storyteller.
That's right. And I think it's always this is also a question when we say we're non-native speakers of English, say, you know, can I tell a story? Am I allowed, you know, to do that? Do I have the vocabulary and so on? But it's amazing as long as I think as long as something in your intention is clear. For me, it's really, what's my intention? I have this idea of this story. What's your intention? If your intention can be really clear and you hold on to that, whatever vocabulary you use, whatever, you know, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is, if you just hold on to that intention, we will feel it. And I had an example of this. This happened actually in, I don't know whether I've told you this before. This happened in Budapest when I was doing a training many years ago. And there was, I think he was from Czech Republic. I think he called János or someone like that. And he could hardly speak English, right? And I was doing my training in English. There were all these people from all over Europe, mostly Eastern Europe and some Nordics. And the goal was everyone had to tell a story and make a point, you know, make a point about the story. So everyone knew János. It's like English is like he was just listening a bit, and maybe, you know, he had a friend who helped. What's János going to do for the story? But it was it was incredible. It was János's turn. Everyone had done it. So everyone's thinking, what's going to happen to János now? So, and I said, maybe you need, you know, a translator or something. Suddenly we see János step up in front of everyone, and he starts to tell the story in very few words, a few words that he knows, like this, really struggling. And in 5-10 seconds, we understand the story he's telling is the story of him speaking to us in his terrible English, but still trying to do it. That's the story he's telling. He's telling the story of how he's doing the story. And we're all just like, oh my God, this is just so incredible. And what you think, what's working there? It's amazing. You know, what's working is his intention. His intention is so clear. He's really, I need to tell this because this is what is important right now, you know. And then he grabs a word here, a verb here, something there, but enough for us to get the feeling. So if János can do it, you know, you can do it too.
And you know what? You just inspired me to share this. A lot of times, us as non-native English speakers, we think about the disadvantages. My English
Yes.
is not good. My grammar is not good. My pronunciation is terrible. My intonation couldn't be worse. But what are the advantages? So let me share this story with you.
Yeah,
So
please.
I'm Hungarian, right? But I love southern countries, Italy, Spain, and then once there is someone who, like after a training, says, "Hey, we were discussing where you were from. You didn't share that in the introduction," because I don't do long introductions at the beginning of trainings. And then and this person said, "We are sure that you are Italian, right? Based on your based on your accent." And I was so happy. Hey, they think I'm Italian. It's my favorite mentality. So I got that such a big gift. And then in another training, they said, "Yeah, we were discussing where you were from, and we are sure you are from Colombia." Yeah, I am from Colombia today. So yeah, advantages versus disadvantages. That's reframing, right? What are the advantages? And another typical advantage is that when you present in a group where there are other people who are non-natives, they will
Yeah,
understand you probably much more than native English speakers.
that's right. That can happen quite easily as well. There can be this kind of divide between the natives and the non-natives, and that the two groups understand each other, but they don't understand the other group. Yeah, that's right. This can happen quite a lot. It takes some knowledge for native speakers of a language to speak it in a way where almost everyone who is non-native can understand it. This takes some choices and some, um, let's say, where you have to slow down and be careful of the vocabulary that you use. And this is something I've worked on quite a lot. So I think I speak English that's quite clear for most
Yes, I
non-natives.
just wanted to say that when I said people don't understand
Yeah,
English
no, I
speakers,
understand.
your English is so beautiful and so easy to
Thank you.
understand. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for simplifying it for us.
Not, yeah, choosing. It's more choosing the choice of
Choosing.
word, rhythm, and so on. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you're right.
And
Sometimes I would go on.
when you say choosing, Richard, yeah, choosing words, choosing the right expressions. For me, as a coach about inner strengths in our cooperation, right? I also like to talk about what is your mindset that you are choosing. Do you choose the mindset of I am not good enough? Or do you choose the mindset I'm more than good enough?
I'm more than good enough. Oh, I like that. That's good. I'm
It's not
more than good enough.
perfect, but more than good.
More than
And
good.
that's
Yeah,
more than good enough,
more than good
right?
enough.
And what do people prefer? Somebody who wants to appear perfect or somebody who is natural, who can behave in a more authentic way, in a more genuine way, right? And probably we prefer people who are making mistakes
Yeah, certainly.
in a presentation.
I think as well today, really, what's really important. We have all these screens, all these. The world is so complicated that we want some kind of feeling of connection. At each
Mm,
screen. And if we see someone making a mistake, again, then we just think, oh yeah, of course, we're all humans. Okay, we're all just humans. Okay, of course.
yeah.
This can help us to feel that connection. It helps us to allow that connection to happen as well. I think
Yes.
it takes away, we don't need to defend.
Mm,
We see someone who's showing some problem, then we don't defend so much, and then we can be more open. So of course, this you shouldn't make too many mistakes over, all the time. Then we start to lose interest as well because we think, but certainly vulnerability is key. Silence is a bit like this too. Silence, it can have that effect too. I think
mhm.
it's all about inviting connection, really. How can we
Yes.
invite?
And, and connection, I'm so glad you are bringing that up because I started a new course. It will take me 3 years to do it, and it's about integral psychology. And I fell in love with it. I'm super happy. So on day one, yeah, the founder opened it with talking about what is life about, and he said for him, life is about connection.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's right.
Right. And
Right.
when two humans connect, or the presenter connects with the audience, it's not a precondition to be perfect. It's not expected to speak in a perfect way. So self-confidence, right? And that's a very important topic, to have the self-confidence and self-esteem. So the inner strength, the inner work, and to have the outer impact.
That's right.
The two, when the two come together, it's unbeatable.
That's right. When you get them hooking in together, we can feel the inner strength, and we can see how it's coming out. We can feel the intention, and also the openness and vulnerability. So we can feel there's the intention and the vulnerability, the openness creates, then connection happens. And then we just, want to listen to what you have to say. What do you have to say? Tell us. We want to listen. We want to believe you. We want to absorb your message. So yeah, that's the way forward. And I think, often when it's second language speaking, we try and aim for perfectionism. You had some thoughts about perfectionism as well. I think about about people wanting to be perfect. Yeah, I mean, being more than good enough is miles good enough. More than good enough is easy. Best.
Is easily enough. Good is good enough too. So yeah, I see 80% of my coaching clients struggle with perfectionism, and it comes a lot of times from the family, childhood experience, school, teachers' expectations, and I fully believe perfection is not sexy. It shouldn't be aimed for, and it's impossible to reach, because everybody calls something different perfect. So do I want to meet the expectations of all the 7 billion people on the planet? I mean, that's not a small goal. Okay, how many more years will you live to try to meet all those expectations? Let's not even try. So Richard, what do we talk about the next time we meet?
What do we talk about? We can talk about well, there are many things we can talk about. We can talk about maybe some cultural aspects as well.
Cultural aspects, okay.
Good.
Love it.
Maybe some personal anchors and some mantras. There's also some interesting things I have to say about performance when we're talking. We've talked a lot about vulnerability and so on, but there are some interesting things about performance that have to do with trust. And that would be great to talk about too.
Okay, very cool. Cultural differences, trust, performance, and it's a great asset that you are an actor, that you are a trainer, you are a coach, so you bring all those fields of expertise together to support people who want to feel great.
That's
speaking
right.
In front of others.
Right. That's right. You can work with us, and then you can become more than good enough. That's our slogan for today, at least.
For today. It was great talking.
Yeah, great talking to you too, Krisztina. See you again next time. Have a good time.
See you again next time, Richard. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.